Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting. Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. An affiliate of Direct Impact Broadcasting and Creative Broadcasting, presenting the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, a show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The EmPower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome to EmPower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore. A little bit about myself. I am a best-selling author with over 18 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business development, and sales, owner and founder of EmPower on Purpose, LLC, where we provide personal and professional development, coaching, and consulting services. Certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team and owner of Envisioned Broadcasting radio station, or EB Radio. So if you all don't know, let me tell you, you can now download the EB Radio app by visiting the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. I'm so excited. So you can hop on there right now and download the app and listen to music that's going to empower you, talk radio that's going to empower you 24/7. So this week, guys, the empowerment quote is pretty awesome. And I'm not just saying that, it's pretty awesome. The empowerment quote this week simply says, "Growth and comfort don't coexist," by Jenny Rumity. Okay, amazing people. Now, I just said that this quote is pretty awesome, but I really think it is so good because you have to make a choice. It's all about either or. Either you're going to focus on growth or you're going to be happy being comfortable, but you can't do both. And the truth is, why would you really want to? You know, I can remember when I was a little girl, my dad, he used to put a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into growing the best-looking grass and flower garden in the neighborhood. I mean, let me tell y'all, the greenest grass and the best, hands down, best-looking garden that you ever did see. It was even to a point where neighbors could walk up and down the street and talk about how amazing our yard looked. They would ask him how, and, you know, how did you get your grass looking so green, and how did your garden come out so amazing? How is it so beautiful? Now, he put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And, of course, this was years ago. But let me tell you, we know now that a lot of people invest into their own, getting their lawn care and garden and all that, making it look fabulous. But he actually put all of the time, the blood, sweat, and tears, as I mentioned. He would have set times for watering the grass and caring for it. I can remember him being so strategic with how he would set the flowers, the flowers in the garden, and the watering schedule, and even the way that the flowers were planted, and, how he would go through this whole regimen, how to care and nurture his garden and his grass. I know that all of that care and time and energy and money that he invested to grow and plant was absolutely necessary to reach the final result of a beautiful garden and the greenest grass. I believe that we must be the same in our personal growth and development. I believe that we are all seeds of greatness just waiting to be watered and nurtured. And guess what? It's our responsibility to make this happen. So many of us want our seeds to bloom, but we are not willing to step outside of that comfort zone to make that happen. The interesting thing about my dad is that when he invested so much into growing the grass and garden, he actually had a choice to either spend the time, the money, the energy into growing the garden, or he could do nothing. But you can't expect the same results for a do-nothing attitude or a do-nothing mindset. today there are so many stuck in that do-nothing zone and hoping and wishing that things will just happen. So I'm going to tell you something that is so, so very important. So write this down. Growth is not automatic. That's it. Write it down, underline it, highlight it, circle it, whatever you need to do. I know so many of us have, at least I know I've seen it. I shouldn't say so many of us because I'm pretty much going to show my age. There's a movie called Sister Act 2, okay? And I have seen the movie in probably several times. It's really a great movie. So if you haven't seen it, you definitely should watch it. But Sister Act 2, in this movie, there is a part where Whoopi Goldberg puts like inspirational words on the board, and the class is reading it, and they want to jazz it up, and they turn it into a song, and the song simply says, if you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. And I'm telling you, if you want to be, do, and have what you want in your life, if you want to live in your greatness, you have to wake up and pay attention to how you're growing, or perhaps you're not growing. I absolutely believe that you are created for greatness. So I ask you today, when are you going to start living in your greatness? When are you going to start your growth journey and get comfortable with being uncomfortable? The last thing I will tell you is that if you woke up this morning and realized that you were in the same spot you were last year, it's time to ask yourself, why are you not growing? Why are you not growing? Perhaps it's because you're trying to have a growth or have growth and comfort at the same time. So without further delay, I am really, really, really excited to tell you about my amazing, absolutely amazing guest today, Ashley K. Pittman. Ashley K. Pittman, best-selling author, speaker, mentor, philanthropist, and publisher. Ashley K. Pittman gives women the roadmap to overcome the heartache and grief of pregnancy loss so they can become empowered and give hope to the masses by using her method called SPEAK, or SPEAK. One of the steps in SPEAK is to position your story to inspire others, which can help women begin taking action to arrive at hope. Ashley is an African-American woman who experienced pregnancy loss at the age of 23 years old. 1 in 4 women experience a miscarriage, stillbirth, chemical pregnancy loss, or late-term pregnancy loss. She is the author of I Can Breathe Again, which shares her experience of losing her twin son and daughter close to the 7 months of pregnancy to preterm labor, where her daughter passed away on her chest. Ashley is the CEO of her publishing company, DSIS Publishing. She also is the compiler of bestsellers Don't Struggle in Silence, I Am the Victor book collaboration, which includes the stories of 6 women and their experiences with pregnancy loss and their healing journey. After going from a mother with empty arms who suffered with grief, anxiety, and depression to a mother full of love and hope, Ashley helps women overcome the heartache of pregnancy loss so they can become empowered and inspire others with their story. Ashley partnered with the hospital organization in Indiana to give back to her community, using the proceeds from her book to help bereaved families in their NICU department as a thank you for helping Ashley's oldest living son when he stopped breathing 13 times after he was born 5 weeks prematurely. She has been featured on the following local Indianapolis TV news stations: Fox 59, WRTV 6, and WTHR 13. Ashley has been published in Sheen, Formidable Women, and View magazine. She has been a guest on several syndicated podcasts and radio shows, such as The Nikki Show, Sisters in Law, Good Grief Girl, Live Her just to name a few. Ashley has spoken on the stage for an audience of over 1,000 at a hospital's organization's Leadership Development Institute, sharing her mission of Don't Struggle in Silence, her book and her story of hope and healing. Welcome to the show, Ashley. How are you this evening?
I am wonderful. It always, it takes me back when I hear me being introduced. I'm like, oh, my God, who is that woman?
Absolutely. Yes. So I just, of course, shared some of your amazing, and I truly say amazing, bio. Please just share a little bit more, maybe something I did not mention in your bio. Share a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, gosh, yes. I mean, you shared majority of it. It was amazing. I absolutely love that. But, for me to kind of speak it out loud, I am an advocate for spreading the mission and the awareness around pregnancy loss. And it has become so important to me because, as you read in my bio, I lost twin babies when I was at 23 years of age due to preterm labor. And didn't even know I was in labor when it was occurring. And then after we lost the twins, I have experienced 5 additional miscarriages between the twins and my now living children. And just spreading the awareness of hope around loss is so important to me. And now, because of the day and age that we're in now, hope right now and going through a pandemic right now is so extremely important. So I'm even pushing even harder just to, bring more hope to people because so much has been lost during this time. So that's really my strong suit and my passion right now to answer your question.
Absolutely. And I think that is so true. I mean, right now, as you mentioned, just being in the midst of this crisis, hope is so needed. It's so needed, my goodness. But I would love it if you could tell us a little bit more about your book, I Can Breathe Again. And I know you mentioned some of the experience and that you went through. But if you can just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So I published I Can Breathe Again in March of 2019 when it was released. And in that book, I share my experience of losing my son and daughter again, close to the 7 months of pregnancy to preterm labor. And I share my complete journey with that. I share my journey of trying to have more children after loss and, how that was extremely hard to do. But not only was it hard or not easy to get pregnant, but then when I got pregnant, my oldest son, with that pregnancy, I had a lot of complications within that. On top of he was born prematurely. And then with my second son, when I was pregnant with him, pregnancy was going good up until probably the 26th week when they found a tumor in his lung, on his lung, and it began to push over his heart. So they were wanting me to possibly terminate the pregnancy. Well, not the God I serve. I told God, you did not bring me this far to take this baby away again. So I remember, Jaresha, when they admitted me, and I was in the hospital bed, and I said, God, you can't do this. You cannot. So the next day, I promise you, what they were seeing the day before was signs of heart failure. Well, the next day, after I literally prayed and begged, they no longer saw signs of heart failure. So now that little boy today is 7 years old, healthy and perfect. And when he was 1, though, they did remove half of his lungs, but it was more for preventative reasons. And he's perfect. He's absolutely perfect. So that's just a little bit about the book. But one thing that I really want to hone in, Jaresha, is what a lot of people don't share about when they're going through this kind of trauma is what it does or what it can do to a marriage or a relationship. Now, we know hard things happen in relationships and marriages. And, it's like you don't share all your business. You just don't. But I say this matter needs to be, I feel like, shared more. So couples and people in relationships don't feel so alone and feel like they're dealing with the issues by themselves. And I say that, too, because my hardship, our loss, resulted in infidelity. And not all marriages and relationships go through that. Some, people might come together, but we were there for a minute, and then we began to drift, and then infidelity occurred. And I just feel like that needs to be talked about more as well, so people won't feel alone. Say, won't feel alone, and then what can we do to be able to move forward or keep something like this from happening, protect our marriage, protect our covenant, our unity, for that not to take place. So that's another. I talk briefly about that in the book. So in a nutshell, it kind of gives you a little bit of the experience over a period of time in that one little book, I Can Breathe Again. And that can be found on my website at ashleykpittman.com or on Amazon.
Absolutely. My goodness. So I want to touch on a couple of things that you mentioned. First and foremost, the fact that you said, not the God that you serve, and won't he do it? Let me just, I don't want to just skip over that lightly, because I truly, believe in the power of prayer and how we have to speak those things, and God is working and always working on our behalf. And so I just, praise God that, all is well, with your son. Praise God. Praise God. So I didn't want to skip over that, but I truly, truly believe, as you mentioned, that, it's important for your message to be heard, because you're right. So many couples, that are experiencing or have experienced, probably feel alone, and there's that piece of that infidelity piece that could happen, and just knowing someone or having that book, that story, that testimony that someone can turn to and understand and know they're not alone is truly empowering and inspiring for others. So I truly thank you for, just your willingness to share your message and help others and truly help empower, others that are couples that are going through, some of the same situation that you experience. So I truly just, want to say thank you for that. I would love for you to share a little bit more about Speak, your method that, you call Speak. Tell us a little bit more about that. It's pretty amazing. So, share a little bit more about Speak and what that is.
Yes. So don't struggle in silence is my mission. And when you don't struggle in silence, you're not struggling in silence. I mean, you're speaking, right? You're making noise. You're talking about it, or you're writing about it, or you're doing some form of releasing, right? Getting it out. So my Speak method, it entails techniques during either my mentoring or even as I speak about it. Techniques such as meditation, visualization, prayer, always. So to kind of tell you about the techniques that I use when I'm mentoring. But Speak stands for Start Journaling and Release. Everybody don't want to be an author. Everybody don't want to be a speaker. But everybody can pick up a pen and write, right? So journal. Everybody can get a notebook and a pen and begin to write. If you don't have nobody to talk to, and it's just you in that room, them 4 walls, you can pick up a pen and write how you feel. Or better yet, pray to God. Talk to God about it. But my main method that I think is very valuable is journaling. That is what I did a lot when I lost the twins. P is for position your story to inspire. Position your story to inspire can entail speaking like we're doing on the podcast, speaking in front of an audience, or write, your story and publish your story or blog about it. Position your story to inspire so someone else can grow from your experience. E is for eliminate fear, guilt, and shame. Many times when we go through these traumas and these losses, we have all this emotional hurt. We have all this emotional baggage, and it weighs us down. So using visualization, meditation, and prayer can help you begin to, eliminate those emotional hurts or begin to break down some of those barriers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A is affirm your identity, because I found that when I was no longer the person that I was before I lost my children. I was no longer that person, but I didn't know who I was. I had to figure out who I was. So affirm your new identity is accepting the new person that you are, and and accepting the person that you may not be no longer before you experience, trauma, loss, or anything that was very tragic. And then K is for keep honoring your baby, or, if it's not necessarily a baby, is honoring your family member. And I say keep honoring your baby because when miscarriages happen, abortions happen, just a baby loss, a pregnancy loss, a lot of people don't acknowledge. They're like, oh, it was just a miscarriage. It's just, baby wasn't even here yet. Or, some way they don't always acknowledge the baby, or they don't want to speak about it because you might be uncomfortable. Keep acknowledging the baby because it does something for those that have lost. It makes us feel like you remember, you care. This was important to you like it is to me. Like it just does something to us. So that's my whole speak method. And too, Jaresha, when I had a coworker in 2017 that I hadn't even known that long, she had got me an angel with the twins engraved on it. I hadn't even known her that long, Jaresha. Wow. And it was for my Christmas ornament. And when I say that was the light that I needed to take off in my healing journey, that's exactly what sparked my healing, my deliverance, and then me writing my book, I Can Breathe Again. So that is extremely important and special to someone that has lost a child.
Yes, that is, oh my goodness, that is so inspiring, and that is it's so good. I love the acronym SPEAK. I really do. And as you mentioned, it is something that can help journaling, that journaling piece, just that alone.
Yes.
Help people in so many ways. I really feel like at times we sleep on journaling and not really recognizing how the benefits, how it truly can help us in our everyday lives, and just having that, just getting through our days and situations, circumstances, and all of that. But the acronym SPEAK, SPEAK, that is so good. It's so good and so needed. It's so needed. It truly is. And I say that from a point where, having known and really being, in the healthcare world, in coming in contact, with several people, either family members that have lost, and not, they have support groups and all of that. And I'm not going to say that support groups is not a good thing, because I definitely think support groups are much needed. But at the same time, just having someone such as yourself that can break down, all of those different areas and really meet them where they are at on that journey. That SPEAK is absolutely, that is true. It's truly phenomenal. Truly phenomenal. So
thank you,
because that is an amazing tool that, that others can use. Like you mentioned, whether it's, like you said, the K was keep honoring your baby or your family member. So anyone that has experienced that loss can truly utilize SPEAK to help them, get through that journey. So that's truly amazing. So I want to shift just a little. I want to shift just a little bit to talk a little bit more from the business side of things. And so what is one thing, if you were to say, just one thing that you wish you had have known when you started, your business, what would that be?
I would say wanting to succeed overnight and not trusting the process. We start adventures, we start these things, or we start the things that God called us to do, because this is definitely a calling. I would have never thought that I would be doing this on the realm that I'm doing this. This would not have been my first thing to do. But I'm here, right? So then I had to transition my mindset to truly trust the process and enjoy the process, because that's what it is. It's a process. And as I've heard you speak before, like the milestones, once you reach one milestone, enjoy that milestone, then work towards the next. Don't try to accomplish everything at once, because it's not going to happen. It's going to be stressful, and you're not going to really enjoy the fruits of your labor. So I wish I would have had someone tell me, truly, Ashley, trust the process and enjoy the process. You want to be able to savor. Is it savor it? Like a fine, fine wine. You want to be able to savor it and not rush through it, and truly enjoy it. So I wish somebody would have told me that along the way before I started this journey. But, I now know, and that's what I'm doing, truly enjoying the process, because it's been absolutely amazing. It really has.
Yeah. And isn't it though? And I, I will say that the process is very amazing, but it definitely has its times, its challenging times when you're frustrated with the process. And you're like, you know what, this is, it can be very discouraging as well, going through that process. But like you said, you truly have to trust. You have to trust that. You really have to trust the process. And I love how you say that we have to not only, and trust, but enjoy, celebrate. I definitely think that so many of us, we have those, we have big wins and we have those small wins that we just kind of just carry on throughout the day like it's nothing. You have to celebrate the small and the big wins. Anyone will tell you that I am all about celebrating. I don't care if it's just, something just super, super small. I'm like, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. So absolutely, you have to. You truly do. At least I truly believe that that's what, we should be doing as, business owners and entrepreneurs. So that's definitely good.
It's a form of gratitude as well, celebration. And, anytime that we're grateful for something, this is my favorite. I love talking about gratitude because it allows more to come in. Don't it? It allows more to come in.
Yes, absolutely. And being grateful even for those challenges, those obstacles. Now, that is what's extremely hard, but you have to see that it could be, I think we really have to look at the blessing in all of that. So, yeah, absolutely. I love gratitude as well. Yes, gratitude is so important. Absolutely. And speaking of gratitude, so, kind of along those lines, what would you say was maybe one of your biggest accomplishments, up to this point?
It's funny you asked that because I literally sent an email to a CEO of a hospital organization that I've worked with here in Indiana, and it was a picture. I sent the picture and also an email, but in the picture it was me with staff members from the hospital organization and the CEO in celebrating my book proceeds that I was giving back to the NICU. And when that check cleared my bank account, and I knew that it was going to bereaved families, like it was this feeling that I had come over me. And I think it was one that I was able to give back, help the organization, but then also honor my children. And I knew at that moment they were saying, good job, Mommy. So from that standpoint, I would say, giving birth to my now living children and my amazing husband, because we are still together, that's also amazing. But the accomplishment, I would say, being able to honor my family in that way was, truly giving back from a heart full of love.
Absolutely. How amazing. How amazing. How amazing is that? That's truly amazing. So I want to definitely ask, as you mentioned, just being able to give back to, families that experience loss. And how would you, walk through, the stages of grief, when, dealing with clients, or maybe just sharing with someone that may be listening now that have experienced, a recent loss? What are some points that you would, share with them?
Yeah, so I'll kind of walk them briefly through a point or two through my speak method. But first and foremost, I want to say you are not alone. Mm-hmm. You are not alone. And communicate. Always keep that communication open, because when we begin to shut down and be silent, that's when it eats at us the most. It brings on depression. It brings on anxiety. It brings on relationship issues. Like, it affects us in all kinds of ways. So keeping the communication open with your spouse, your partner, a counselor. I went to counseling as well, a family member or a friend, or journaling, or just some way to make sure you're releasing how you feel. And I'm so sorry that you are experiencing this. It is important to connect with someone that knows how you feel. And like I said, that's, again, someone that that have experienced it, or you're reaching out to myself as a mentor, or I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Just being open to be open. Just be open to be open. And don't go through this alone, because you're not alone.
My goodness, yes. That's so important, because, as we kind of mentioned before, no one, wants to feel alone. And the fact of the matter is, when you do lose, someone, a lot of time people deal with grief very differently. And so, a lot of people will, just shut down and not really want to, open up and talk. And just having someone that, that's there, for that support and to help you through, those stages is so very, very important. And so I want to kind of segue into this by talking a little bit about the crisis that, of course, we kind of touched on. Of course, COVID has impacted us in such a huge way.
Absolutely.
I can't, every last one of, I think it's touched everyone in this whole complete world has been affected or impacted by COVID in some kind of way. How has COVID impacted you in your business during this time?
Well, I like to speak, and I do, and part of me being impactful with my message and my mission is speaking. So COVID stopped a lot of speaking engagements that I had lined up for the year. So I have been having to pivot in other ways in my business to make up for the loss of my speaking engagements, not just financially, but just the impact. And that's why I have been booking more virtual speaking engagements, doing more podcasts, doing more radio interviews. I've been really seeking more ways to get my voice out there if I can't get directly in front of my audience on a live stage. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest impacts that my business has suffered during COVID. But the important thing I would say is knowing how to pivot, or figuring out how to pivot that will still get your, help you reach your goal in your business.
Absolutely. That is such a good point. Because, like you said, it's knowing how to pivot, and, and pivoting and not stopping is the key, and I think that when COVID hit, we all were like, what is happening? And, from a business standpoint, but at the same time, it's not being, and I know everyone's business was impacted in some kind of way. And out of that has come a lot of creativity. Like you said, having to pivot and kind of figure some other things out. How can I still, continue in my business and growing my business, but maybe on a different platform, on a different level. So that's so good. That's really, really good. And one of the things that I will tell you is that, this beginning of this year, of course, I said, this year is going to be a year full of growth and success. And, of course, and I will say that, I kind of changed that just a little bit when COVID happened. But, then I'm like, no, this is still, I claimed it at the beginning of the year. I'm still going to, have faith and believe that this is going to be a year of growth and success. And so one of the questions that I truly like to ask, my guests that come on the show is if you can share just one goal that you have for your business, what would that be?
Post-COVID?
Yes, post-COVID, in the midst of COVID.
I would say our goal now is continuously to be impactful. And as you know, Jaresha, I have been thinking about the idea of starting my own radio show to be able to reach more audience members and getting my voice out there to more women, to more men, to more, just whoever needs me. I have really been thinking about how else can I get my voice out there. And I have found and really began to love the idea of having my own radio show. So I would say that is my goal for by the end of this year, if not before this year is up, I will have my own radio show started and going.
Yes. Awesome. That's exciting. Absolutely. And of course, we had conversations about radio and, just reaching a bigger audience and what that means. So that's truly, truly, truly exciting. So, of course, yes. I mentioned at the beginning of the show the empowerment quote, which is growth and comfort do not coexist, by Jenny Romedy. What does this quote mean to you?
I am so uncomfortable right now. I am so uncomfortable right now where I'm at because I'm having to do things that I'm like not used to doing. And that's really just putting myself out there more. And, like me wanting to start a radio show, I never thought to do this or even, have the inkling to do this. But like I said, I'm having to pivot to reach my audience, to be an impact, to be such an impact to where I know that I can help transform some lives. So, yes, I'm definitely growing, and I'm definitely uncomfortable in this season, but I know it's needed because I cannot grow if I'm sitting, if I'm comfortable, if I'm in my comfort zone. You can't grow in your comfort zone. You just can't. You just cannot. And I know that. And so I absolutely accept that and receive that. And it's kind of like we said before, enjoy the process. And this is a part of the process. And I'm enjoying it because it's letting me know my strength and my willingness and my determination that I had that's inside of me.
Absolutely. Enjoy the process. I absolutely love it. Yes, yes. So if you were to give, a piece of advice to the listeners on how they can improve their own growth and success journey, what would that be?
I would say give yourself permission to do whatever it is you want to do. And I say that because a lot of times we wait for approval from people. We wait for this to happen or for this to take place or we don't give ourselves permission to do many things. And I say that, like for me, myself I never gave myself permission to be great. I never gave myself permission to be great and then say it and accept it and own it. And then I never gave myself permission to heal, Jaresha. Yeah. I never gave myself permission to do these things. But when I said it out loud, it felt good. It's like I was taking my power back, So give yourself permission to do whatever it is you truly want to do or that you need to do to move forward, to be great, to be successful, or whatever it is you want to be or do. Give yourself permission first. Don't wait for nobody else. You give yourself permission to do that and go where you need to go.
Absolutely. That is So good. Because as you mentioned, there's so many people that's out there listening that are, either feeling stuck or just not moving because they're waiting on someone else to say, okay, you can move.
Yes.
And it should not be like that.
Yes, absolutely.
You want to, you are created for greatness, so you need to do great, be great. In order for that to happen, as you said, you have to give yourself permission. It was, I don't know who it was that actually said that even if it means writing it out, like I give myself permission to whatever that thing is, write it out. And then, fulfill it. Make sure you own it and do it. Yes. That is so important. And whatever that is, whatever that permission you feel like you have not had, you have to realize that you have to really feel empowered. And sometimes we got to empower ourselves to move forward, to do those things, even if it means, writing that permission, whether it's healing, whether it's, to live in our greatness, to be living in our purpose. If it's something you want to do, what is stopping you? Oh, my goodness. We can talk about this all night. When you feel so passionate about that thing, and I know you know what I mean, when you feel so passionate about that and, and then people, and you see their greatness, you see the greatness within them. And you're like, well, please be great. How can I help you be great? Yes. But they have to feel it in and feel it deep within. Yes. So that is such good advice, and I truly hope that everyone will take heed to that. Oh, that is so good. That's so good. So I back up. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to share a quick tip that I learned from Miss Lisa Nichols. Amazing. I love her. She's my idol.
Yes.
Love Lisa Nichols. But going through my whole healing journey, my whole healing process, she would talk about the mirror exercise. And the mirror exercise is to literally daily look at yourself in the mirror daily and speak over yourself. And so do you know, before I became a best-selling author, I would literally say, Ashley, you are a best-selling author. Before I even thought writing a book, I didn't know how it was going to happen, but it was before I even wrote a book. Yes. And I would say that every morning. And, as I was saying that and talking to that person in the mirror, I could feel these feelings over my body. Like I was speaking it over the person in the mirror. And lo and behold, I am now a 3-time best-selling author. So speaking over yourself out loud and reflecting that off of you in the mirror also is an amazing way to give you that motivation, that courage, that confidence to truly, make happen what you want to happen and putting it out there, that positive energy out there in the universe.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that is so good, too, because as you mentioned, we have to affirm it. If we don't affirm it, then, you can't, who else will? You can't have someone else that's going to tell you you're great and you can do great, but yet you're not going to affirm it for yourself. And that right there is truly a testimony for how you utilizing the affirmations every single day truly helps you, and then it manifested into you being a best-selling author times 3. That's truly, truly amazing. And I definitely think that goes along with, as you mentioned, your method, your speak method with the journaling, and then, of course, the affirming and the affirmations. I definitely think that is just, it all goes hand in hand, and it's so important. It's so important.
Yes.
So I don't want to skip over the fact that you are a CEO of a publishing company. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So I help women share their story, and I help coach them through the process of writing their manuscript, doing the whole editing process, putting everything together, and publishing their book, either through Amazon or through Ingham Sparks or however they would like to, do that. But I help them I help them, put their story in a book, and I coach them through the process.
awesome. That's awesome. I'm like, you are wearing so many hats. So many hats. And it's truly, truly amazing. It's truly inspiring for, that women that are out here listening. So it's just amazing. It's truly, truly amazing. And I definitely just want to say I thank you for sharing your amazing story and your journey. What do you have coming up, in the future for your business? Like what do you have coming up on the horizon?
More speaking engagements, more to be more impactful. And now I'm also I'm really loving the idea of getting into the healthcare vicinity more and being able to touch or help teach leaders and physicians how to communicate with compassion when it comes to their patients around pregnancy, loss, and miscarriages. And I say that because I've done a few speaking engagements where I share my story, and then I get the feedback of, well, how can we help our patient? Sometimes we often overlook when a patient has had miscarriages or pregnancy loss, and we don't really acknowledge it. That sends something up my body when I hear that. I'm like, how can I? So now I'm trying to learn how to be able to pivot my way into the healthcare with my services, my consulting services, and also my speaking services to really be able to help leaders and physicians and medical staff to be able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable when we talk about pregnancy loss and miscarriages, and how to connect them with someone that could relate to them, such as myself, or even someone in counseling, but really be able to help them make sure they're ready mentally and emotionally before they try to conceive again, to ensure that they're, on the right track to having a healthy baby when it comes to the emotional and mental health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's truly amazing, because I can tell you, from speaking from the healthcare, world, I definitely feel like we need more mentors, such as yourself, coaches such as yourself, to help that has that story, that journey that they can share. That to me just makes a huge, huge difference and has a huge impact when you're talking to someone who's just, at a loss for words and ready to just, give up, and you know what I'm saying? So it just, to be able to, really help that person and support that person or that family, it's something truly, I definitely feel like it is much needed, especially in the healthcare world, where they see so much. And absolutely needed. Absolutely. So
thank you.
All of the listeners stay connected with you, and how can we support your efforts?
Well, support me. Just, following me on social media would be awesome. But then they can find all of my information and all of my services on my website at www.ashleykpittman.com. And that was, I share my consulting services, speaking services, coaching, and mentoring services as well on my website. And just be connect. Say, how you doing? Hey, I heard you on EmPower Hour. Loved you. Just drop me a message that you would be awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. You are truly amazing. And I told you this, this is not the first time you heard me say that you are truly amazing. And your story is, equally as amazing. It truly is. So I thank you so much for, just being able to come on the show and sharing your story and journey, because I know that it's truly going to help, empower someone. So I thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. So, listeners, I thank you so much for tuning in to today's show with my special guest, Ashley K. Pittman. Ashley K. Pittman shared her amazing story and journey to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. If you are interested in being a guest on this show, starting your own show or podcast, email envisioned@empoweronpurpose.com. Please tune in next week where you will hear an amazing story and journey from another leader, influencer, and motivator. EB Radio is the station that brings you music and talk radio that will encourage, motivate, and empower you for growth and success 24/7. EB Radio is your station for empowerment.
Thank you for listening to the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journeys in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to be your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit EmPowerOnPurpose.com. And remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.